Hey everyone, I'm Greg Jones from Motorcycle and Powersports News, and welcome back to another episode of Power Players. Today I'm joined in studio by David Piercy. He is the Director of Marketing and Creative for American Landmaster. David, thanks so much for being here today.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, appreciate you giving us some time to come to Akron, Ohio from
Absolutely.
Indiana and be here in studio. And excited to chat with you because I know there's a number of new and exciting things happening at Landmaster that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And before we jump into some of those new and exciting things, of course, I want to give our viewers a little background on yourself.
Sure.
And how you got to this industry and to American Landmaster. So if you would,
Yeah.
kind of give us a quick background on how you got to where you are.
Yeah. Like Greg said, I'm David Piercy, Director of Marketing and Creative for Landmaster. I have been with Landmaster about 5 years.
Okay.
I did leave for a year to kind of look at another venture in the marketing agency space, but I would say my background is more on the creative design side, and that's kind of led me into marketing throughout the years.
Yeah.
And I've worked in a lot of different industries, started out in medical, then went into banking and finance, and then got a lot of my digital marketing experience with an e-commerce company, and then made my way over to Landmaster just really because the off-road market, it's like, man, this is like an automobile, but even better. It's off-road. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And knew nothing about UTVs, ATVs, any off-road equipment. So that first year and a half was a big learning curve for me at Landmaster.
Yeah.
Just to
thrown into the pool.
Yeah, exactly. Just to try to understand the lingo. What's the difference between, air-cooled technology versus liquid-cooled technology in engines? And, now that I've been with the company for 4 or 5 years, it just feels good to have that kind of knowledge and experience in the space to be more comfortable in our marketing and our education and our training. So it continues to be really a good industry for me because I'm passionate about it and just like working in this atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you can say that about most people who are in this industry. They love it, and it's definitely a passion. So that's great that you've developed that over these years, and certainly being at American Landmaster, it's a lot of cool stuff. Like you said, it's almost like a car. These days with what's going into UTV products and that off-road stuff. So with that, let us know a little bit about what's been new. Maybe at the tail end of 22, and now obviously going into 23.
So in January, we launched from our flagship product. We did use a Kohler engine. We've moved now to the Vanguard commercial engine in that model. Mm-hmm. And then in the L5 model, that also got an engine upgrade to another Vanguard engine. Both engines, more power, more torque. In the L7, you're going to get more speed. So we've seen speeds 35 plus, you can get 38, 39 miles an hour, and some of, depending on your terrain, depending on what you're hauling or pulling. So more speed, more torque out of those engines. Vanguard is perfect for our environment and our space because those engines are used to being, in generators that are, working constantly at high revs and in harsh environments typically. So construction, it's dirty, it's outdoors, it's rainy. So these engines are perfect for our model, and it's nice to have that sort of upgrade.
Yeah. And you said that's new for 23.
That's new for
a couple of those models.
Yep, that's new for 23. Okay. The other thing that we did is on our L5 and L7 models is now we're giving the users power steering standard. Mm-hmm. So we just found that power steering really is just such a great feature, and a lot of people get it on the vehicle already standard when they purchase it. So we just made it part of the standard package going into 2023.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's funny when you look at UTVs in general across, whatever the brand might be, some of those standard things can really vary. So I'm sure consumers appreciate when there's more thrown in outright versus what they have to add on after the fact. So
absolutely.
That's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've kept, our entry-level models that I call kind of for basic use, the L3 and L4. We don't have power steering on those. It's optional, but as far as standard, that's something we've left off really just to keep it more in that price range for that customer.
Sure. Yep.
And if they want to add it, they can definitely easily add it for those models.
Yeah.
But for the higher performance models, the bigger engines, the ones that go faster, and definitely all the crew models have power steering.
Yeah. Yeah. And David, for 23, how many different UTV models do you guys have out there?
Oh wow, so we've got the L3, that's our entry level. We have the L4, which comes in a 2-wheel drive and a 4-wheel drive platform.
Okay.
So, and then we've got the L5, the L7, the L7 Crew, and then you've got the L7 in a Pro model, which comes with a close to 6-foot long steel bed.
Okay.
And then you have our electric line, which also has kind of similar approach as you've got 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive models, and then crew models in those as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll dive more into those different models here in a second, but I also understand you guys have a new test track at your facility. When did that come about? And talk a little bit about what that helps allow you guys to do.
Absolutely. So, at Landmaster, we are always trying to innovate, and we innovate quickly, accurately. I mean, we work quick. So we are always looking at what are other players doing in the market, what do our customers want, what are our dealers recommending, and we react to that, and we take it to the team that can best deliver those needs. Part of what we realized really quickly is we've got to beef up our engineering team to get to where we want in 2 to 3 years. And we've got some really exciting models that will be coming out in the next couple years. We need a facility to have engineering focus on, do all the testing, do all the development, design work. The building we're in now just, can't hold the next generation of product. So that next building is going to be dedicated really to engineering and to the marketing department to facilitate and help promote that new vehicle.
Yeah.
And part of that is the new test track, which I was just on it this last week, and it's incredible. It's huge.
Yeah.
We'll have you guys out there. It was
That'd be
muddy.
awesome. Yeah,
It was fun.
I'm sure it's a blast. Yeah.
It was raining Monday, and people were like, "Are you sure you can go out and film today? It's raining and muddy." I'm like, "This is the perfect time to film. This is the perfect time to go out there with our vehicle."
Get to showcase it the right way, right?
Exactly.
Very cool. So David, along those same lines, we were chatting before the cameras started rolling, and again, just like you said, like cars, there's all these different segments that UTVs kind of fall into.
Sure.
And you guys at Landmaster, have a very specific niche of the type of customer you're trying to go after and the type of UTV that you're delivering to them. So do you want to talk a little bit about, the utility side that you guys are focused on versus, maybe the sport side that other folks play in?
And there's a couple and people always, I think, when they look at our product, they say, well, it doesn't go 60 miles an hour, and it's, that's on purpose. So we don't want people hauling 600 pounds going 60 miles an hour, and it gets a little bit dangerous. Our vehicle is primarily in the work application, and that could be residential, but that could also be commercial. You've got brands out there in the UTV space that typically pick one path. So some of the brands out there are more heavy on the commercial side. I think our product is a good balance for commercial or residential. The other thing, our product differs a little bit in the space is really the suspension system. So that is a Landmaster designed suspension system that mimics a lot of what the Powersports space is doing. So you've got a trailing arm, you've got dual rate shocks, and you've got this really kind of unique suspension system that gives you a great utility feature and helps with that utility task. But also, when people think of, it's an off-road vehicle, there's always that, I want to go, trail riding. I want to do something fun with it outside of just working.
Yeah.
And we've tried to make that happen at Landmaster, where you can work during the week or weekend, but then also you can take the family out trail riding, or you can go hunting, you can go mudding, and still fully capable of having that ride experience.
Right. Right.
A lot of the work UTVs out there could have a solid rear axle. Ours are independent rear suspension, and I tell you what, when you go over curbs, bumps, big boulders or whatnot, really limits that vibration with our suspension system. So on the marketing side, it can be a little bit tricky because we don't really just go after one specific customer, like let's say just commercial. There's so many different uses for our product. On the marketing side, we really try to show in our advertising and our marketing and any of our branding all the different types of segments you can use it in, whether it's hunting, whether you need a vehicle for driving around the lake or the community, or you are a farmer, ag person.
Yep.
We can really kind of touch all those segments.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. And like you said, it's nice that you've got some features that are almost overbuilt for what somebody might use it for day to day, but it allows them to do some extra stuff or have more fun with it when they want.
For sure.
And gives them that ability. So that's cool. David, you touched on a couple electric models that you guys offer, and that's something fairly new. But this year it sounds like you have something up your sleeve as well. Do you want to get into the discussion of, maybe why EV and how it's been for you guys so far? Obviously, it's been a big thing across the industry in general. And been ramping up.
There's a huge movement on the EV, and I think on the UTV side especially, people kind of are skeptical of, I'm used to this off-road stuff being gas-powered, and you see lawnmowers now getting more into electric space. You see large farm equipment getting into the electric space, and now UTVs. So it's slowly catching on, and again, kind of like I said in the beginning, is we see opportunities and we try to innovate quickly and go after different things and see what can stick with our customers and how, can we be innovative and come out with a new technology before someone else does. And definitely with electric lithium-ion powered UTVs, I would say we're a market leader as far as what we have out there compared to the other brands.
Yeah.
And again, the electric is not for everybody. It's not for every environment, but it's you get somebody in one of our L5s or L7s and then you jump them over to an electric, people are thrilled. There's always a smile on someone's face and they really start thinking, maybe this is the better route I need my vehicle for over a gas powered. Especially when you get the wife and kids in there. The wife is the one that's usually like, wow, this is incredible. This is what I want. There's no fumes. There's no noise. It's low maintenance. And, it kind of goes back to the segment thing. You've got, the electric space can be, if you're going to go up mountains and, be doing heavy duty work every day, probably not the best vehicle for you. If you're on flat land, if you're on roads, if you're in a community, it's great for a community. If you've got the neighbor down the street with a golf car and you want something a little bit heavier duty that you can ride in the neighborhood, but maybe do some work on your property, the electric is perfect. Our new line of EVs that we're going to be launching here soon, we're launching it with the name AMP. So we're coming out with the Landmaster AMP series. It's going to be...
That's just AMP?
Yep, just AMP. Okay. Just like it sounds. And that is going to be a heavier duty, more torque, more power EV platform than our current platform.
Yeah.
So the EV we have today, great vehicle. Like I said, it's got limitations on the hill climbing and certain environments. This AMP series, we're hoping to get more torque, more hill climbing capability, and just, overall a better vehicle for more of those harsher environments and stronger work applications.
Yeah.
And this past Monday, I took it out into a muddy area and very questionable. It's weird being in a vehicle with no noise out in that sort of environment because you kind of you're in silence and then you push the throttle and it powers itself out of that situation. So people don't tend to like to give the marketing guy units because I'm always the one that's trying to figure out, I'm going to tell a really cool story to the customer. I'm going to go out and test this thing to the max and to the limits. And with the new AMP, I always go into it kind of like, all right, what's the catch? What can I not do? And I could do everything and more with this unit than what my expectations were. So
Yeah, well, that's great.
I'm excited to launch it. We're going to have a couple additional vehicles with the AMP as well. So we will have an AMP two-wheel drive, two-passenger, an AMP two-wheel drive crew, and then we'll have an AMP four-wheel drive, two-passenger, an AMP four-wheel drive crew model, and then we'll also have an AMP Pro, which is that extended bed, but just now on an electric platform.
Yeah.
New motor and controller. So the motor and controller, that motor is going to provide a lot more torque power to the, just to the overall vehicle. There's some design changes as well. On the front end, you're going to have a built-in LED light in the bumper. So when you turn your headlights on, you've got kind of a three lighted kind of beacon in front automatically.
Okay. That's awesome.
So yeah, really cool. Again, it's the full line of lithium vehicles out there in the UTV space. We're the only manufacturer.
I was going to say that's a number of options that you're giving folks, and that's really great. As well as the gas stuff that you guys, still have plenty of options there too. And I wanted to elaborate on that. You started to get into a little bit of, the mentality of the consumer when they're, they think they want a gas UTV, and then they try the electric UTV, and it kind of changes their mind. And obviously, it depends on what ultimately they're trying to do with it. But can you elaborate on the mindset of the consumer in terms of what might make them want the electric vehicle over the gas, or vice versa? Because I know there's still a lot of doubt out there, but the saying in this industry is, swing a leg over the bike. You got to try it.
Right.
You got to hop in the UTV to try it.
Yeah, in our industry, it's you got to get the butts in the seats to get them.
Butts in the seats.
That's
absolutely.
right. For what we try to train our dealers on is, don't be a salesman, be kind of the educator and let the customer decide what's best for them. So for me as the marketing guy, it's let's give our dealers the tools to educate the customer so they can ask the right questions. How are you going to be using the UTV? Do you mind charging? Our charge is 6 to 8 hours to get your full charge. It's just off of a house outlet, so you don't need any special charging unit or anything. So you got to ask those questions. What are your needs? Are you going to be going 100 miles in your UTV every day, or do you mind lithium technology, or do you prefer gas? So I think some of it's the mindset of just educating. Hey, here's what the lithium can offer you, and here's possibly some of the limitations. And there's a lot of people out there that just because you own a UTV doesn't mean you're a master mechanic. So people may want a UTV that's lower maintenance, that is, they don't have to hassle with carburetors or fuel. And that's the EV is the perfect platform for them. There's also certain states and certain municipalities that if you've got a UTV and you're running events, you may not want a gas-powered UTV downtown around everybody. It's loud. You're creating fumes. The electric UTV may be better.
Yeah.
And same with in factories, you've got businesses that want to use our electric vehicles inside a factory. So on the consumer side, the electric can be great for hunters as well. So you can creep up into the woods.
Right. Yeah. Certainly quieter. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So depending now, if you're wanting to go, if your hunt is, dozens of miles away, if it's 60 miles away and 60 miles back or whatnot, that's probably not ideal. But for the one that's got, the woods right behind their house, or they want to trail it up to somewhere to get in and out of the woods, it's perfect for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Now, David, you also touched on the dealer and the fact that in this instance, they're more of an educator. They're just giving a consumer all the knowledge about, whether they maybe want an EV versus a gas UTV.
Yeah.
But do you want to elaborate on what the dealer's kind of been seeing or feeling with EV coming in, and maybe some of that outreach that you guys provide in terms of training and education?
I think for the one thing that attracts customers to Landmaster is the American-made approach, and just that we're trying to create a product here that it's high quality, American-made, creates jobs and growth for the country. So that attracts a lot of the customers in to kind of be interested in our models. But some of the training that we're providing dealers is just whether it's videos or brochures or that sort of information into the consumer to help them feel a little bit more comfortable about that technology.
Yeah. David, you mentioned that both dealers and the consumers get excited that Landmaster is an American-made product, and you guys are doing a lot here in the country. Do you want to just elaborate on, what exactly that is and where, you guys make your stuff?
Yeah, there's a couple areas I can elaborate too. Is the brand has kind of transformed over the past year and a half a little bit as well. We used to be called American Landmaster. Now we're kind of shifting more towards just Landmaster. And people are like, oh, you're taking the American out. And, part of it is we're not taking the American components or product or suppliers out of the mix. We still have our same, that is always going to be the mission of our company and focus is to make a quality American-made product. It's really from a marketing branding side of, American Landmaster was such a long word to put on the vehicle and looked very corporate-y to me. So going with Landmaster and that new vehicle logo looks like a true off-road vehicle. It proudly makes the name big and bold on the side of our vehicles. And, I'm aware that, hey, we're taking American out. How can we make sure the people know this is still an American-made product?
Yeah.
So now we've got a 4 or 5 inch metal placard on each vehicle we make that says "Made in Indiana, USA."
Okay. Yep.
So that's kind of on the branding side, and that's why I like this company so much. It's in little Columbia City, Indiana, right outside of Fort Wayne. There's almost 150 employees in our building making a UTV for the entire world. So we're building and welding, bending, fabricating, powder coating, assembling, testing, and shipping the product right from one facility. And that's awesome. It's really uncommon in vehicles and UTVs, motorcycles to have that sort of manufacturing nowadays. Controlled in the U.S. So that's what's really exciting, and you can see the passion and the excitement of the people in the plant to be able to be a part of that process.
Yeah.
Especially our welders, I know they get really excited to say, you know what, I welded that chassis right there, and these are human beings welding a chassis. That's not robots. It's not that technology. So it's really neat to see physical hands making this product and pushing it out to the world.
Yeah. Well, and I know being made in the U.S. is very important to a lot of folks, and it's cool that you guys have made a commitment to do that, and it might not continue to show up in your name on everything in terms of being the American aspect, but it's cool that behind the scenes that's the truth of it.
And it's not awesome. It's not always the easiest or the cheapest way to keep things domestically. Of course not. But that's that is our brand is American made, and that's how we continue to grow in our space, and it just fits with that demographic of our product so tightly.
David, we talked a lot about what's been going on at Landmaster, certainly within the last year, and now looking at 23, the tons of exciting stuff with all these different models on both the gas side of things as well as the EV side of things. Where do you think that next step might be for you guys? Or even the industry, UTV segment type stuff? Like where is that momentum kind of going forward?
Well, if you look at the UTV space, they're getting more and more like a off-road mini pickup truck.
Yeah.
So I think the expectations, they vary for all of the different customers. I mean, you've got farmers that are willing to spend $30,000-$35,000 on a UTV that's heated and full HVAC system. It's enclosed and feels like that pickup truck environment. But then you also still have the people that just want a budget-friendly UTV for their small acreage property or their farm. So you've got to be able to accommodate a wide variety of uses there, but then also be able to explore different technologies like the lithium space, and how can you take advantage of that. And what does the customer want out of their UTV? A lot of times we're continually reaching out to consumers to find out how can we be better? What are we doing right now that we could, is it an accessory? Is it something else that you want standard on the vehicle? a lot of times when I think of utility vehicles and somebody going off road, and that I don't think is done very good really in any other brand across the space, is how do you get more storage in that vehicle? Mm-hmm. How do you get people to have multiple compartments to put tools, gloves, sealable storage, all of that stuff? How do you get that in a nice designed vehicle? I see, the space getting more like, I guess, pickup truck styled look for off-road.
Right.
I see that kind of being the future, but again, it's got to make sense and be within budget for certain customers too. So.
Right. Absolutely. Well, David, with that, I'll say thanks again for being here in the studio and talking with us. Like I said, awesome to get to know you a little bit more and certainly hear about what's all going on at Landmaster. It's a lot of exciting things. So,
thanks a lot.
So thank you. Guys, we appreciate you watching this episode of Power Players. Make sure you're checking out American Landmaster. And as always, make sure you're checking out Motorcycle and Powersports News for more motorcycle and powersports content. We'll see you guys next time.